Hello everybody, welcome back to the Steam Completion Challenge. This is a challenge in which I am beating each one of the games in my 1500 plus Steam library. As a reminder, I'm going through this process via my Twitch page as well as on YouTube, so if you're interested in seeing these games played in real time, please check out my stream. I'm currently streaming on Tuesdays and Wednesdays starting at 8 PM Eastern. I'll be consistently streaming on these days until August 9th, which will be my last planned stream for the upcoming future. I will be away on a trip, and then after I get back, I'm going to be moving and starting a new job. So because of those things, I will not be streaming until I have everything kind of figured out in my life beyond that point. The videos will still be coming out every other Friday, with the shorts during the empty weeks. Anyways, on to today's game, The Suicide of Rachel Foster. The Suicide of Rachel Foster is a first-person walking simulator developed by 101 Games and was released to Steam on February 19th of 2020. This game has had a lot of negative feedback in recent times, but has a mostly positive opinion overall on Steam. The main reason for the negativity is in the manner in which the story is told and how certain people are villainized or heroized within the context of the plot. Besides that, this game drew inspiration from horror or suspenseful titles such as The Shining and tried to incorporate feelings of isolation and dread. This game took around 2 years to develop and had many professionals to assist them in handling the sensitive topics that the game covers throughout its runtime. But before I discuss some of those topics, let's lay down the groundwork for the experience and its gameplay. The goal of this game is to uncover the secrets of the hotel we are stranded at. As the name of the genre suggests, this game relies heavily on conversations between two characters to progress the plot along. Being a walking simulator heavily suggests that all you really do is walk around, which in this game is actually pretty true. In terms of real gameplay, you can interact with objects and spin them all around if you want. There are a handful of these objects that you will hold on to for later use, but most items are just for show or to help with the immersion of the world. The main gimmick in this game is the two-way radiophone you pick up. This item is what drives the whole plot forward and allows the player to make some decisions here, in terms of audio prompts. This game's gameplay is pretty simple, as the main purpose of the game is to tell the story of a girl known as Rachel Foster. On boot up, we are reading a few notes, made out to us, Nicole McGrath. The note is from our dead mother, who relays the history which we as the player have not seen. In these notes, it is told that our father betrayed our family's trust when he had an affair with a kid, Rachel Foster. In the letter, our mother says that she has hired a lawyer to give us this note once our father is dead. The family hotel will be in our name, so now it is time for us to sell it. But before we can sell it, we have to do an inspection of the property and then sign the papers to get it off our hands. So that's what we do. Make the drive up to Helena, Montana, during a snowstorm. As we head up, there is a warning on the radio that the snowstorm has the potential to be extremely dangerous, and everyone should stay away if possible. But we ignore that. Finally inside of the Timberland Hotel, we are free to move around. In this tutorial section, we are given the objective to go to the main office. Our first bit of information given is via the voice messaging system, which is from a call from the telephone company informing us that the telephone service is being cut off. We are also given our father's name, which is Leonard. Through a few other messages, it is revealed to us that the lawyer is going to be kept up with some documents dropped on his desk. In this voice recording, it is further explained that by law, we have to personally inspect the whole property before it is able to be put on the market. One of the nice mechanics this game does for us is give us a map of the hotel as well as a to-do list to keep track of any current objectives. As the recording ends, the lawyer tells us that the manager's key is located in the master suite, which used to be our family's apartment. So now we're on our way around to get the manager's key. It's not a huge hike or anything, but it does take some time, as the max movement is a light speed walk at best, which you have to hold down shift to do so. Entering the apartment, we can enter our old bedroom and acquire the manager's key from the desk. As we leave the room, a telephone on the desk rings. Answering it, we are introduced to Irving Crawford, who's from the Helena Emergency Agency. He called to welcome us to the hotel and reassure us that the place was fit for living. However, we are only here to get in and get out, so we hang up on him pretty quickly. As we leave the apartment, we hear a loud bang and go check out the overlook. After witnessing some horrible weather, Nicole decides it's time to get out of there and to risk getting caught in the car on the roads. So now we gotta book it to the garage and get on out of here. Getting to the car, we realize that our car keys are gone, missing from the seat. We hop on the line with Irving, and he reassures us that there is not anyone around here in over 40 miles, and he comments that the keys will show up somewhere. He also informs us that the cell phone we are using is an active channel that will stay open if we need anything. In a last-ditch effort, we try to open up the garage door, but of course, it's stuck shut from the cold. Irving tries to be comforting, but it doesn't come off great. Begrudgingly, we go back up to the family apartment, and that starts day 1. From this point on, we stumble around completing various tasks and talking on the phone with Irving, who gives us a general guidance. In the same vein as the Half-Life video, I'm not going to cover all the minute details, as you might as well watch a walkthrough instead. The first day pretty much continues on as we get the heating on before settling into bed, but not without playing the old bass. Next order of business is to get our hands on some grub, so some good old beans will have to do.
Hey, you kidding?
Well, conveniently after we got out, Irving warns us about the problem, which ticks Nicole into a fit where she watches the microwave for a minute straight. After finishing the Salt Fest, it's time to take a gander at the second floor's offerings as per the lawyer's instructions. There's a bit of mold and a caution tape section, but everything else is normal other than this pleasant phone ring.
Who is this? Who the hell are you?
Rachel is still there. Don't sell the hotel.
Is this a joke? Who is this?
Well, that was pretty unpleasant. Next, we wake up and a bunch of lights are out. So with Irving on the line, we head to get the generator on to restore some sort of power to the hotel. In case of the full power outage, we can use this camera we picked up for lighting. Not too long after, we get a crafty little flashlight upgrade and are tasked with getting into a crawl space to access the generator. We eventually get to the room and are able to restore some power, as well as find a nice gift. Some lipstick. It's teased that this is similar to the kind that Nicole's classmates would use. When we get control again, we see that Nicole has put together a bunch of clues she found, and we talk through them with Irving. Essentially, the big idea is that Leonard was seeing Rachel after her death, and there are a few different accounts that also claim that they saw her as well. Another huge discovery was in the forensics report that reveals that Rachel was 9 weeks pregnant at her death. Another day, another dollar? Oh, yum. A retainer.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Rachel. 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 Rachel.
Well, that's a definite Yui if I've ever dealt with one. If you couldn't tell already, there seems to be a tiny bit of glorification of Nicole's father, which is one of the major things that people dislike about this game. Which, in certain contexts, I completely agree. But there is still more game to cover, so let's carry on. The main thing that Day 6 brings is the revelation of ghost hunters going through the Timberline. Irving plays the audio for us on the phone as we listen to their terror. They supposedly saw something and flipped out until the tape cuts out. So today's mission is to uncover the tape that the ghost hunters could have left behind. In the tape it lists a room number, but we need some tools to break in. So we find the handy dandy screwdriver from the generator room and can now look inside of the hotel room that they stayed in. Inside the room, we get access to a microphone and a VHS recording of the ghost hunters. The recording shows that the hunters were scared out of the room by a spirit of some sort, one powerful enough to slam the door behind them. As we look away, the door slightly closes, which is real spooky.
Damn it, Dale.
We wake up to a Christmas Eve with all sorts of decorations out. We have our usual talk with Irving when we start to hear a clinking sound, which means it's time to go all ghost hunter on the hotel. After some searching with the microphone, we come across a picture. This reignites some memories for Nicole about the last days at the Timberline Hotel and how she remembers some aspects about Rachel as well as her father. Well, this is nice. We awoke in a church that has a tunnel to the hotel. There are no chills on my back. That's for a fact. Anyways, through the complete quiet of the hotel, we head back to the room and pick back up all of our belongings which were conveniently left behind. Apparently, Nicole sleepwalks, which led to her to suspect that there is something important going on in the church. So heading down there once again, we talk with Irving some more. During this discussion, Nicole remembers a secret storeroom and goes to investigate it. The secret storeroom is a bit unsettling. Yeah, a kid's bedroom. Rachel's. It's some horrible stuff in here, but for our sake, there's a key which connects to an old music box back in the bedroom. During this, we have a very heated discussion about Rachel and Nicole's father to Irving, which he says that Leonard had gone mad or desperate while the family had left him, and Nicole blows up on Irving. Moments like that, where with Leonard being completely in the wrong but being defended actively, are some of the stronger moments which can be interpreted poorly. In the game's case, Nicole is still keeping faith for her father, despite what he's done. But what doesn't quite work about this is the fact that at the start of the game, she's disgusted and sick of him, even shortly after his death. I see what the game devs were trying to do with their strained relationship, but it comes off as giving him too much praise and forgiveness for the horrible things he committed. Anyways, let me get off my soapbox real quick and continue on. Getting to the music box, we can open it to reveal the medal Nicole won on the night of Rachel's death. After some monologue about the events of the night, we make it to... Now standing at the caution tape, Nicole reopens the channel with Irving. She deduces that there's one more place she hasn't checked. A storeroom on the second floor, one that her mom told her to close off before going to the big hockey game that night. So now we can go check on it. Welcome, my friends, to Mannequin Hell. And here's the main attraction, Nicole's hockey stick. But it seems that the scene is depicting something new, a murder. Perhaps Rachel's murder. After leaving the scene, Irving's tone changes. He cryptically tells us to keep going, and we can go through the caution tape room now. Making our way there, we find a base camp of some sort, which is Irving's room. He reveals that he had been painstakingly revealing secrets from the depths of the hotel, but there was always something missing: Nicole. Irving tells us that he was working with Leonard to uncover the mystery of Rachel's death. Leonard did not want Nicole to get involved, but Irving insisted until Leonard had passed. In this conversation, Irving tells us a story about an invisible boy. A boy who wanted to be normal, but his father wanted something else from him: devotion and prayer all day, every day. In this boy's suffering, there was one glimpse of hope: his sister, who would give this boy hope of a bright future that was to come. That boy was Irving, and he heard what terrible things people said about his sister and how she would break because of it. But one day, someone saw her for who she really was. This was Leonard. And in this came a love, a mutual love, until she was taken away by her murderer. With that revealed, we now have access to the attic. Up here, we listen to a recording of Leonard, who goes on about love and how it's everlasting. As the recording ends, we pick up a last set of car keys from the table, these being Nicole's mother's car keys. So now we take our walk back to the place we started from, the garage. In the trunk of Nicole's mom's car, we find a blanket, which could use a good wash. So we head over to the laundry room and find a sink. And now, what do we find? Rachel's retainer in the midst of a bloody blanket. With this revelation, Nicole reveals that she remembers seeing her mother on the night of the hockey game before leaving, and she looked frightful, like a dangerous animal. But as soon as she saw her that way, her mom shrugged it off and was back to normal. They hopped in the car, and Nicole found her newly cleaned hockey stick waiting for her. The two of them went on to the game, and Nicole remembered that her mom had seemingly disappeared for 2 whole periods. Just enough time to go back to the car and get rid of Rachel's body, who was still in the trunk. After a moment of silence between Irving and Nicole, Irving says that Rachel is still here. Her spirit has been watching over him and protecting him from the truth. Irving never knew that Nicole's mother was the one behind the murder, and now he is ready to join his sister in the great beyond. He can finally rest in the light, and he leaves Nicole behind, telling her that they will meet again. With the phone line dead, Nicole freaks out. And with a few moments, there are footsteps. Rachel is here. We awaken in Nicole's car to a phone ring. The lawyer has finally called us back, and Nicole tells him that she no longer is going to sell the hotel and hangs up on him. After a moment, Nicole starts talking to her mother about going to the lake, and then she says she wants everyone to be together again. She then turns on her engine, and after a second, it fades to black. And that is the suicide of Rachel Foster. It's a pretty heavy game overall, dealing with very heavy themes and depressing discussions. I will say this game was pretty solid in its pacing and made each development build on to the big picture. And aside how it treats certain subjects, it was a pretty chilling experience and really knew how to make the player feel uncomfortable even when there are no threats around. I mean, there's no combat in the game or any enemies to fight, but it keeps you on edge, which I find pretty impressive. Beyond the story beats, I will say there's a bit more to be desired of the gameplay itself. For starters, the whole time you have to hold down shift to go fast, and not go at a snail's pace. Having that be the default speed was cruel, and the fact there's no option to always run was pretty tedious. The other major thing is the lack of saves. The only checkpoints you get are at the start of new days, and there are no chapters to select if you need to go back in case you miss something. But worsely, this game tends to crash. On my first playthrough, the game actually crashed out on me as I was cleaning the blanket at the very end of the game. I was so confused by this at first, but soon realized I was screwed and had to reset the whole day, which takes a good 30 minutes or so to go through. So that peeved me off a bit. But beyond that, it's still a decent playthrough for a first timer. But now that you know what happens, it isn't really something I would recommend you do unless you want some achievements. In terms of the achievements, there are 11 in total, mostly pertaining to story beats. There are 1 or 2 that you will have to seek out, so you might have to replay the game if you aren't careful. This game has no trading cards currently. In terms of price, you can get this game for $17.99 on Steam, but I would highly recommend waiting for it to go on sale. I see it go for a few dollars on most sales, so it's worth waiting for one if you choose to get it. After putting in about 6 hours of playtime across 2 playthroughs or so, I was able to 100% this game, becoming the 3rd perfect game of the challenge. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Steam Completion Challenge. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel so you'll stay up to date on the challenge. The next episode will be on Placid Plastic Duck Simulator, so please stay tuned for that coming soon. Thank you for watching.